Good day, everyone. Today we'll be tackling about the methods of data collection. First, let us find out what are our objectives for this discussion. First, we have to identify the different methods of data collection. And second is gather, you're expected to know how to gather information using the different methods of data collection. And last, synthesize the importance of the different methods of data collection. So, methods of data collection. Data collection is a systematic process of gathering the research data. It allows the researcher to gain first-hand knowledge, information, and original insights. So the first method of data collection is survey report. A survey report presents a summary of all the responses that were collected in a simple and visually appealing manner. So, ang survey report is the summarization of all the data you have gathered through your survey. And it is also a type of academic writing that uses research to provide information about a topic. It involves questions that are formulated based on the research objective to be answered by respondents and later analyzed using appropriate data and analysis methods. So, to be able to disseminate the information from the survey, you need to have a good writing skills. Why? Because through having a good writing skills, your survey report will not be mispresented or will not be explained properly. So you have to have a good writing skills because it is essential in writing a survey report. Survey. A survey is also a method of data collection. One of its tool is, of course, the most common is questionnaire. We always use this in gathering data or collecting data from the environment. The second method of data collection is experiment. In a strict sense, is what we call a true experiment where the researcher manipulates one variable and control or randomizes the rest of the variables. For example, does the color of a basketball influences the number of times a shooter sinks a basket? So, in this experiment, a random group of students is chosen and asked to shoot a series of baskets using a regulation normal colored basketball. Of course, the data is recorded. And the same group is then given a blue colored basketball and the same number of shots is repeated. The data is again recorded. And a statistical analysis is performed. This is a designed experimental study since the researcher manipulated the conditions of the study by changing the color of the ball. So, the conclusion of this study would depend on the results of the statistical analysis. However, the study design allowed for a comparison of shooting performance between the conditions of normal colored versus the blue basketball or the blue colored basketball. And the statistical analysis would provide insights into any differences or similarities observed. So in this experiment kay mura gi-observe ay gi-experimentuhan nimo kung naabay difference or similarities kung normal colored ang basketball nga imong gi-use or the blue colored one.
The third method of data collection is observation. Observation is used to describe the behavior of a subject. It is also referred to as a participatory study because the researcher has to establish a link with the respondent. This is also used in cases where you want to avoid an error that can be a result of bias during the evaluation and interpretation processes, and a way to obtain objective data by watching a participant and recording it for analysis at a later stage. Observation is you're collecting data by observing how someone or something behave. And observation may be conducted in real time, and also you can observe by taking down notes. An example of observation is during COs. The students are observed on how they behave and how they actively participate during the discussions of the teachers.
Steps in preparing survey instrument. First, do a preliminary research. You may visit your library or use online sources for this. If usa ka maghimo og research, pwede ra ka mag-visit sa library or online para manguha sa imong sources sa imong research. Second is talk to a person who is knowledgeable in preparing survey instrument. If wa kay alam anang preparing survey instrument, pwede ka mangutana sa imong kaila or sa mga tao nga kabalo mohimo. Third is master the guidelines in preparing a questionnaire or interview guide. If mag-prepare ka questionnaire or interview guide, kailangan i-master nimo ang mga guidelines. Fourth is clarify your research questions. Be sure that the items indicated in your survey instrument are directly related to each specific research question.
Fifth, write the instrument using the appropriate format. Get model instruments if needed. Sixth, edit your instrument and match it with your research questions. 7, kay kanang revise when necessary. Revise la ka og kanang kinahanglanon na kayo kanang nakay usbon ning ana. Lastly, kayang pilot your survey instrument to further improve its quality. This means that you have to get some respondents, a sample of the target respondents ning ana, to try to answer the instrument and give you feedback. Then revise the instrument accordingly.
So there are 3 steps done in survey. First is by email, by telephone, and personal interview. By email, you can conduct survey through email by creating survey through Google Form, then ask respondents if they can spare you with a little time to answer the Google Form survey. The second is telephone. Telephone is by calling the participants and ask the questions of the survey. And the last is personal interview or the door-to-door or in home. Ask directly the participants to answer the questions of the survey. And there are 6 steps to conduct an effective survey. First is determine who will participate in the survey. Of course, magkuhan kita mag-survey ta, dapat nagitay respondents ato ang para maka-answer sa atong questionnaire. The second is decide the type of survey, email, online, or in person. So, mas better good na ang ato ang interview or atong survey dapat kuan din siya, personal siya para kuan ginato ba ilahang mga answers. Then the third is design the survey questionnaires and layout. Of course, dapat ang ato ang layout dapat magkasunod-sunod na og masabtan sa mga respondents ug dili siya lisod. And the fourth is distribute the survey. Of course, ang atong survey i-distribute na nato para napoy mga respondents, di ba nga mo answer na nga survey questionnaires nga na. Then the fifth is analyze the responses. Of course, before nato na siya i-sum up ta ng mga results, tapos i-analyze nato nga sakto ba o natubag ba nila og tarong ilahang ang mga pangutana sa survey questionnaire. And the last is write up the results. Of course, diba, na-analyze na nato ang mga ilang mga responses. Of course, sa ato na sila isang aftanan. Mura na to siya kakuha gid nila og tarong og na-answer na nila og tarong sa survey questionnaire. Is to help you write an effective conclusion for your survey. So, naa siya upat ka strategies. First is focus on satisfying your survey goal. The conclusions must answer the queries presented by your survey goals and objective. Of unsay purpose sa imong survey, dapat makuha nimo. Kung unsay purpose sa imong survey. Lain naman sa magkanda ka og survey unya ang imong purpose ato wala nakuha nila, di ba? Wala gyapon siya na answer imong mga gipang imong purpose sa imong survey, useless siya. Second is make a synthesis, not a summary. Of course, sa pagkandak og survey, dapat dili ginaton siya i-summary gyud. Dapat ato ginang iusa-usa, di ba? Itagsa-tagsa na nato. Then third is use an academic form in writing the conclusion. Sakto o sunod-sunod. Introduction, body, and conclusion. Then the last is avoid sentimentality. Dapat dili lisod sabto ng ato ang survey questionnaire. Dapat dili ta mo gamit og mga lalong nga words para makasabot ang mga respondents.
There are steps to follow in conducting an experiment. First, identify and define the problem. In any experiment, the problem statement should always come first. Without the problem, you have no real reason to conduct an experiment or understanding and what to conduct an experiment on. So just like sa research, if wala kayo nakita nga mga possible problems about a particular place, situations, or something, you have no real reason to conduct a research. So, ingana sa ng experiment. Second, review relevant literature. Conducting a literature review help you build your knowledge in your field. Literature reviews prevent you from duplicating the same information as others writing in your field, allowing you to find your own unique approach to your topic. So, review relevant literature. So, ang review relevant literature kay makatabang nimo na makaibaw ka kung nagbalik-balik na ba ang imuhang experiment nga gi-propose, na ba'y nakabuhat ang laing tao, or ni-exist na ba ang experiment nga imuhang gi-propose. So, review relevant literature helps us to prevent from duplicating the same information as others writing in your field. Third, formulating hypotheses and deducing their consequences. So, formulating hypotheses and deducing their consequences is crucial kung mag-conduct ang experiment for several reasons. First, direction. Hypotheses provide a clear direction for the experiment. Makatabang ni sa researcher to define the specific questions kung saan ilang i-answer and the variables they need to manipulate and measure. Second, it has testable predictions. Hypotheses allow researchers to make testable prediction about the expected outcome of the experiment. Third, falsifiability. A hypothesis should be formulated in a way that it can be potentially proven false. Fourth, so we have the last, which is fourth, is objectivity. Formulating hypotheses and deducing their consequences helps to maintain objectivity for the scientific process. By specifying the expected outcome in advance, a researcher can maka-minimize and avoid selectively interpreting the results to fit their expectations. Fourth, construct an experiment. Constructing an experiment is essential part of the scientific process. Kaya this allow researchers para ma-ensure nga ang ilang study is well-designed ba, controlled, and capable of producing reliable and valid results. So, since humana ta sa pag-identify and define the problem o kung sa'yo mo nakita with that particular place or that particular situation nga pwede mahatagan ni mo experiment, review relevant literature kung arin mo mahibawaan kung nabalik-balik ba ang experiment nga imong buhaton, formulate hypotheses and deduce their consequences, construct an experiment. So, diri na mo sud si conduct the experiment. After nimo mahuman ang 4 steps to conducting the experiment. So 6, we have compile raw data and condense to usable form. So compiling the data allows for better organization and management. Mas easier to analyze na lang siya and to interpret the result. So raw data usahay kay makakontain og errors, outliers, or missing values nga maka-affect sa accuracy and validity sa experiment. So, condensing the data involves cleaning and pre-processing steps para ma-ensure ang data quality and its integrity. So, when compiling data and condense the usable form, it allows researchers to apply statistical techniques, perform calculations, and derive meaningful insights gikan sa experiment result. So, by considering these key factors, researchers can compile raw data and condense it into a usable form that is accurate, consistent, and complete. So last, present findings and conclusions, or #http://www.com.ph. Presenting findings and conclusions to an audience is our chance to bring attention to the importance of our findings. So dapat when presenting findings, it should be specific, measurable, and clearly stated. while conclusions are interpretations of findings nga dapat supported by the evidence. So, how important it is to present findings and conclusions when conducting an experiment. So it is important to present your findings and conclusions because this is how most people will be able to understand your procedures, discuss results, offer feedback, and take your work a step further. So, dapat lang nga mag-present ka og findings and conclusions when conducting an experiment para mahibaw-an sa imong audience, sa imong readers kung asa nagikan ang imuhang gi-research, kung asa na ang website ang imuhang gi-research.
So, observation according to Buenos Suceso, Dacanay, Manalo, and San Gabriel, 2016. Observation may take place in natural settings and involve the researcher taking lengthy and descriptive notes of what is happening. So, iyang gimin diri kay ang observation kay mo take place in order to get the lengthy nga sa observation kung sa'yo makuha niyo ba para makuha niyo sakto. Then observation can sometimes obtain more reliable information about certain things. For example, how people actually behave can also serve as a technique for verifying, nullifying information provided in face-to-face encounters. So, kana din ang observation daw kay makakuha ka og mga reliable nga information sa man ang naay mga kuhan gud. Kay ang mag-observe ka kay na may basis. So, one siya objective.
Techniques for collecting data through observations. First, we have written descriptions. The researcher makes written descriptions of people, situation, or environment. Limitation includes researcher might miss out on an observation as they are taking notes. The researcher may focus on a particular event or situation. There is a room for subjective interpretation of what is happening. It means that the interpretation has been influenced by personal feelings or emotions. Second, we have video recording. Allow the researcher to also record notes. Limitation includes people acting unnaturally towards the camera or others avoiding the cameras. The camera may not always see everything. Third, we have photograph and artifacts. Photograph is useful when there is a need to collect observable information or phenomena, such as buildings, neighborhoods, dress, and appearance. Artifact is an object made by a human being. It includes objects or significance, such as memorabilia, instruments, tools, and others.